Are universities and media platforms unwittingly becoming instruments of colonial dominance? This question echoes through the hallways of academia, reverberating against the stone-cold structures of our traditional institutions of higher learning. Universities, since as far back as the 1530s, have been a battleground for challenging and reinforcing colonialism. A long history of student activism against colonial practices is etched into each brick of these institutions, with countless incidents of student protests against colonial practices. Fast forward to the present day. The echoes of the past resonate in the recent student protests against Israel's actions in Gaza. These protests, however, have been met with an iron hand, with university authorities cracking down on dissenting voices. This raises a question. Have universities transformed from being the challengers of colonialism to its enforcers? But the role of universities is not limited to just education and activism. Universities, through their investments and education, have also been supporting colonial projects that contribute to militarism. This dual role of universities, as both the challengers and supporters of colonialism, is a complex paradox that needs to be addressed. Universities, once the bastions of free thought and progressive ideals, are now under scrutiny for their role in perpetuating colonial dominance. Is the media, once a watchdog, now a lapdog? As we delve deeper into the role of media, it becomes clear that the US mainstream media has often found itself in alignment with American power elites. Take, for instance, the recent campus protests. Students, young and diverse, came together to voice their concern against Israel's actions in Gaza. Yet the media's coverage was far from balanced. Instead of focusing on the essence of the protests, the media chose to paint a picture of chaos and disruption. Accusations of hate speech and terrorism were hurled at protesters, casting them in a light far removed from their reality. The narrative was skewed, the voices of the students drowned in a sea of bias. Even more concerning is the portrayal of these protests as violent and anti-Semitic. This narrative has sparked a controversy, revealing the media's role in shaping public opinion. The media, once trusted to provide an impartial perspective, is now seen as a mouthpiece for the powerful. The media's role in shaping public opinion, once a beacon of impartiality, is now under question. So, where do we stand? In the grand scheme of things, we find ourselves at a crossroad where the echoes of colonialism reverberate through the halls of academia, and the media's portrayal of events often leans towards maintaining the status quo. Universities historically have been arenas of both active resistance and passive reinforcement of colonial dominance. This duality is starkly evident in recent student protests against the actions in Gaza, with universities on one hand serving as platforms for activism, and on the other contributing to colonial projects through investments and education that bolster militarism. Parallel to this, the media plays a significant role in shaping public opinion. However, the recent coverage of campus protests has been skewed, aligning with the power elites and painting a controversial picture of the protesters. This biased narrative poses a threat to the essence of free speech and democracy, underscoring the need to critically evaluate the media's role. As we continue to navigate the complex landscape of higher education and media, it is imperative that we critically examine their roles in our society and strive to challenge and change the systems that perpetuate colonial dominance.